Hey everybody, this is Betsy Veldman for Papertrey Inc. and I am here today with a new product introduction. These are the sequin dies being released this month, September 2014, from the Papertrey Inc. website. They will be available for purchase on September 15. And I wanted to just put a little video together for you a little how-to on these dies because they're a little different than our regular dies in that they also emboss. You can see how the backing of the die has cutouts, and those cutouts are meant to emboss to give you a pretty realistic looking little sequin. Alright, so let me show you how that works. There's two different methods you can use. The first one that I'm going to show you involves using an embossing mat, and it will require 2 passes through your die cutting machine. Now, this is the tan and vanilla mats that are sold from the Papertrey Inc. website, and those will work really well for this. I also have a Cuttlebug embossing mat, which is a little bit thicker, a little heavier material, and I found that this one works really well too. It actually gives me a little bit deeper impression, which I liked, but either one will work just fine. Okay, so let me show you. I've actually been doing the embossing step first. That way I don't have to worry about the little sequins flying all around and trying to emboss them after they've been cut. That'll be a little bit tedious. So I've been doing the embossing first. So what you need to do is you need to get your die cutting machine, and you need to set it up with the sandwich that you always use for embossing. I'm using the Big Shot and the universal or all-purpose platform, multi-purpose platform I guess it's called, and I am flipping out all of the shims, and then I'm going to put my cutting mat, and on top of that I'm going to layer my embossing mat, and then I'm using some shimmer cardstock from Papertrey. I really like the way the shimmer cardstock works with these sequin dies. Alright, so embossing mat, cardstock, and then die cutting side down. And then just go ahead and run it through your machine. Okay, and then you'll be able to see here that my sequins, the design embossed, but it okay, so we're going to run it through a second time. We're going to pull out the embossing mat, and I'm going to flip my shims back in so that I have my normal cutting sandwich. And when you run it through the second time, you want to make sure that your die is aligned with the impression that you made the first time passing through the machine. You can secure it with a little post-it note if you're worried about it shifting, but that die really nests pretty nicely right in that impression, and it tends to stay put, so it's not too tough. Okay, so the second pass through will cut the outer edge and also the tiny little inner circle that you always find on a sequin. Okay, now I'm going to show you an alternate way to do it that really requires only 1 pass through your machine, but it does require an additional material. I have found that it works quite well to use fun foam, just a craft foam. This is a 2mm thick foam, available anywhere. And if you include this in your sandwich, you can get by with just running it through your machine once. So what I'm going to do is I have my regular cutting sandwich on my Big Shot, and I'm going to layer the foam and then my cardstock and then my die on top of that with cutting side down. Just run it through my machine. Okay, and you can see that this time it did the embossing and the cutting all in one pass through my machine. Okay, the thing about this is it doesn't cut all the way through the foam, but it does make an impression on it. Now you can reuse this. I have found that I got good results by using the same piece of foam 3 or 4 times, but after that it kind of flattens out and loses some of its sponginess. So you'll probably need to replace your piece of foam after every probably 3 or 4 passes through your machine. So it's up to you, whichever method you want to use, which would be the double pass through your machine with the embossing mats, or a single pass with just the fun foam, which you'll have to replace every few times you run it through. So it's just a couple different ways of doing it. Before I go, I wanted to show you what I've been doing to make the sequins look a little more realistic. Real sequins are a little bit cupped around the edges, meaning they're kind of shaped in almost like a bowl. And so you can kind of mimic that look, and that will really bring them to life. Let me show you how I've been doing that. What I've been doing is I just take the sequin die cut and place my thumb just beyond one of the embossed little lines there, and then just kind of bend upwards and just work your way around the sequin. Doesn't take a lot at all. You don't want to bend it too much or it'll just end up looking kind of messy. And then you can also just kind of pinch the edges after that and kind of shape that and give it into a little bit of a cupped edges. And then it really takes on a realistic look. Okay, so thanks for joining me in this little product preview of the sequin dies. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're enjoying all of the September Papertrey Ink release festivities. We'll see you online.